Well, hello, all you fellow metal detectors. I'm trying some new software here. This is Daddy Flea. Uh, way I got my nickname is from my son motocross riding. So he is the Flea, and I am Daddy Flea. I've been metal detecting since about 75, so I'm kind of getting a little up there, but I do pretty well on computers. So I thought I'd make a little video here of some of the stuff that's been working for me, and I use the Etrac, and I have two of them, one with a small Coiltech 5x10 coil on it, and one with a large WOT 15-inch coil. Now, if you're going to use the Etrac, if you get a new one, you always get the Etrac emulator. Now, right here, if you can see on the computer, I've downloaded the Etrac emulator. This will teach you how to run your Etrac. Now, the good thing about this is that you use your computer to make it do everything that's on the metal detector. So in other words, once I get this downloaded, to turn it on, I have to hit the on switch. Okay, when you first download it, let me turn that volume down just a little bit. It gives you a threshold there. Okay, the first thing you're probably going to have to download is the targets. Now, I've got US downloads here, and I'll put here to where it'll pick up the US coins. Okay, now the second thing is it comes with the standard coins thing. Now, I never hunt standard. I use my own pattern files. So you go here, you go to pattern files and import one. And I'm going to use Daddy Flea coins. And there you go. The first thing you can see is that this is my own little coin pattern. You can make your own. Go here. Oh, and I'm always clicking with my mouse. So you have to go there, come down, edit. Now, as you go across here, if you can see, mine starts on right there. Now, I don't use that. I have stopped going down that far on Ferris, and it's simple to correct your files. All you got to do is go along here. You black out those, and I'll go up and I'll black out 23 and I'll leave 22 up open is what I run now. And another thing I've started doing, and this may even be a mistake, but I've been blacking out 48. I like to stop my cans or iron squeaks, and I haven't ever found a coin that registered over 48. Now or over 47. So I like to black out 48 to knock out those iron squeaks. Go all the way to the top here. I've never really understood why a Morgan dollar either doesn't hit to 47 since it's silver. Quite don't understand that, but anyhow. And as you see, I'm correcting these on the emulator here, and this works just like your machine. All right, when you get through, hit here, save it, come down, save it as pattern 1. Now it's saved there. Now it's not on your machine. This is just the emulator, but if you were using the machine, you'd have the same thing. Get out of this, you go right here, and you're ready to metal detect. Now I like to take mine up all the way, actually, and here I go. I'm clicking with my mouse again instead of using the metal detector things there. For you that are new to the Etrac, I like to have 22 up open and everything else down here blacked out. Also with the nickels. Now if you see this, that just makes the area that you select larger. This here, it's kind of like your quick mass. It does a really big area. But anyhow, let's go back to the settings here. Okay, we'll go down and we'll save that. Now to get out of this, I'm going to go here, and I'm ready to metal detect. You really don't need to look at this screen, because using an Etrac, you should hunt by sound. You really don't need to know where this is hitting. If you notice, when you take your cursor and go across the coin, you'll get noise, and you have to swipe it across. Now the way I have this set, you're going to see that I pick up nearly all the coins. Now see this number 8 Flying Eagle cent. Now I'll miss this one, but let's look what happens. If you hit quick mass here, that's going to be 1323, which is right in there with the pull tabs. I'm not digging pull tabs. I'm not going to do it. They're everywhere up here, so I ignore that. We go to the next one. That is the 1859 Indian. Again, it's in with pull tabs. I'm not going to dig it. You may dig 1,000 pull tabs in an old area before you ever dig one of these coins. If I was at a place that maybe is old enough, it didn't have pull tabs back then, I'd be digging it. But my coin thing will not pick this up, which is fine with me. Now it's going to pick up the bronze Indian. Now while we're on that, let's look at the settings here just a little bit. Sensitivity, I like to run in auto, always. Now I'm finding that with my Coiltech coils, that I have to, with the big coil, I have to be in auto. I can't be +1, +2, or +3 because it just flat overdrives it. And what will happen is when you get in there, and you start hunting. Let's start hunting a little bit. Instead of getting those good signals, in which this to me is not all that great a signal because my volume's turned down, but you're going along there and you get these nulls, and every time you move your coil a little bit, you lose your threshold. That's not a good thing. Unless you know that there is a bunch of iron below your coil, you should not lose that threshold. And it really, to me, it makes no difference whether you're swinging fast or slow. You should not lose your threshold unless there's actually some iron underneath your coil. If you're losing it, what you need to do is you need to come up here, go down to sensitivity, and if you run in auto, which I always run in auto, then you come down there and you back off. You may have to back off to -1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, but you back off and make sure that when you swing, you do not lose your threshold, because you're killing yourself if you're doing that. You're hurting your depth, you're hurting your ID, you're hurting everything. Now, let's go up here and look at another setting. Now, I run headphones that have their own volume. I come down here, my volume gain, I always have that wide open volume level. Everything on mine is wide open. I like the normal response. Some of the other responses, especially the pitch hold, that sounds really weird to me. I can hear it in the background. I've tried them all. I don't like none of them except the normal response. Tone ID. Number of tones. I always run multi-tones. I very rarely run anything but conductive variability. I always keep that at 30. Limits, I'll keep that at 30. All that does is just make your tones much more different. Now, if I'm wrong on some of this, somebody correct me. But let's go back and look at more settings. Okay, when you get your recovery deep, well, with this setting, you either have on or off. Well, I'm here to tell you that with the Etrac, if you've got your sensitivity set right, and everything's going good for you, and you run recovery deep on, you're going to get twice the amount of false iron squeaks. Now, I'm not calling them false signals. There will be iron under there, but it's going to squeak on you if you run that recovery deep, and it'll fool you. It fools me all the time. I always like, under hunting old houses and things like that, I like to run my recovery deep off. Recovery deep off. Now you go to recovery fast. Well, I can tell you what I've heard, that recovery fast being off is a higher sample rate. Now that's the number of times that the detector samples an object before it gives you a signal. I've also heard that it makes it go to the next, to the faster. I can tell you that I always run recovery fast on. It just don't work very good with recovery fast off unless you're in a completely clean area where you're not hitting multiple targets. Now, Let's go to the next one. Trash density. You always need to have that on high. I have not found any place that I needed to hunt with trash density when it was not on high. Ground. Now my ground is difficult. I'll tell you that now. I can hunt with neutral. Most of the time you run it on auto, you leave the ground on difficult, and you're in good shape. Noise cancel. I don't know if you've heard, but every time that you hold up your detector a foot off the ground and you hit noise cancel, it's supposed to pick out the quietest channels. Now, I know that mine changes. I generally like to run mine on about 5 regardless. I will do a noise cancel every now and then, but I've never seen it make a real difference in my area. I like to run it on about 5 and just leave it there. If you don't have your sensitivity jacked way up, that noise cancel is not going to make that much difference. But generally 5 is what I use. Now doing the noise cancel, which is this right here, you hit that and you hold it a foot off the ground. Let it select this channel. That can't hurt anything, but now your detector is going to remember. So if you're hunting in the same area, I've just seen that hadn't make that much difference. Okay, let's go back up here and look at the other settings. Contrast, all that has to do is with your screen, pinpoint, normal. Let's face it, most of us never pinpoint a target. And when I'm saying that, is that when I go in here, we'll go to detecting, and I hit this pinpointer here. If you see on the top there, this little graph right across here, as you pinpoints the target. Only way I like that is on normal. But, I mean, that takes a lot of time. If I'm using my big coil, I am going to use the toe of the coil. These double D coils, that's probably a more accurate way than the pinpoint. The small coil, I mean, you know, you can use it if you want, but anyhow, that's the setting. And let's go back and look at that setting. There's different. Let's do the sizing here. There's not that much difference in it in me. If you'll notice, as we go over the coin, let's get a bigger coin. I don't know. I didn't like the sizing. If you actually use the pinpointer, I guess it'd be okay. I leave that on normal. Show sensitivity. If that's on, then when you're in detecting, this is the sensitivity right here. Shows what's happening. And like I said, I run normal. Pinpoint. If you see that little circle right there, that's telling you that the machine is ground balancing or whatever, depending on what you have it set on. Back to the settings. I leave mine on. If you turn that off, and here I am. If you notice, this is gone. Now, I had the experience thinking if I would turn that off, it'd make my screen larger and easier to see, but it don't. So you might as well leave that on. You really need to know what your sensitivity is doing anyway. So we're going to put that back on. Mode info, I forget exactly what that does, but I leave that on. Let's see what it does. Oh, that's all this stuff up here. And what it is your mode that you're in. When you go to the top up here, and hit select, you will have different modes to working in, different patterns, and you can set up your computer completely different, like two-tone ferrous or conductive, and just very quickly and easily change your mode. Okay, I believe I just did that too. I want to go back. Okay, now we're back. Okay, let's go back to the settings here. Display timeout, I keep that off, and there's the master reset. I wouldn't fool with that, because normally, you know, I've had two Etracs for a good while, and I've always hearing people doing resets. I've never had to do one with either one of mine, so I don't think that's a deal unless you've got something much more serious going on than a bad setting. Okay, I talked to you about sensitivity. You know, this here is your select when you're doing the editing, your discrimination screen. You know, this is your quick mask. And as you use this detector, you'll use that quick mask a lot more than what you think. If you notice, I saw a 48 there. I've never actually saw that on a coin. This emulator is just a little bit different than in real life. In real life, that my readings are not this jumpy, especially on nickels. If we can find the nickel here. There's a good old buffalo. Now my machine is a much more lower pitch than that. I will never get a 15 on a buffalo. Buffaloes are nearly always going to be 13, 13, just right on the button right there. Very rarely going to be any difference, and they're generally real solid. When I said 13, I meant 12, 13. I generally don't get I'm getting 14 there. Okay. And we definitely don't want to do that, because then you lose your pattern. So we're going to go there. Quick mask, you're going to use this a lot. Let's go to another, just like there's a war nickel. Now, that war nickel, I've seen those go as high as 15. The emulator is not picking this up very good, but in real life, boy, them war nickels will sing with this right here. And if you look up here as a depth indicator, that's something that once you use an Etrac very much and you run your deep off, you won't look at very much because you can tell by the sound about how deep it is. So I think I've covered most of the settings. Most important thing that I see on the Etrac is this right here, sensitivity. If you really want it to do well, do not run it on auto +3 all the time. You're going to get all this iron squeaking. It's going to hurt you. What you do is you set that thing, auto +3 may work in your area. It might do it. But if you're up there detecting and you're moving that and there's a null, if you're sweeping and you're getting a null, see, I'm not getting a great one right here, even with this emulator. Well, let's try it. I ain't never tried it on the emulator by reducing the sensitivity. Let's go down to +1, which that's where most of mine run, is auto +1. Even the emulator seems to work a little better there. Let's go down to one, to just flat. I call it 0 or A. Anyhow, this my pattern right here picks up all of the coins with the exception of 2. Do you go through them? Well, it likes that seated dime there. I'm also finding that the emulator seems to be a little higher than what I actually get in real life. When I get down to the zinc pennies, if I can find a zinc penny here, yeah, where's the zinc? Wheat, memorial, zinc, there it is. My zincs in real life only read about 34, and it's 1234, not 13. They don't really hardly ever go up to 36 or 37. And both of my machines are like that, so I wouldn't put a lot of faith in the emulator being completely accurate. I have got up to a 1215 or war nickel. So anyhow, this was a short little film. If you watched it this long, then you're probably one of them die-hard metal detectors anyhow. So I thank you for your time, and if there's any questions that I can help you with, I'll be glad to help you. I like the Etrac. I've had everything from Garrett's to White's to Sorrow, you name it. And the worst mistake I ever did was selling a Garrett groundhog. I'll never forget that. But right now, the Etrac is definitely my favorite detector out there. I don't think that the CTX, it may be more expensive, but I don't think it's that much better. So any questions, please contact me. I'm Daddy Flea on the forums. I'll be glad to answer questions or show you some more about this if you're interested. Thank you.